Hi everyone, this is Christina from Pretty and Pink Supply, and today I'm going to show you how to make these cotton fabric headbands. All we're using is an 1-inch plastic headband and then a fat quarter of cotton fabric, and we have a few different tools that we're going to be using and our sewing machine. Okay, to start, you're going to want to cut a 3-inch wide strip of fabric by 16 inches long. Let's go ahead and cut this. And we're gonna need 2 different strips. We're gonna need one to wrap our headband and then a separate strip for the knotted little flap on the top of our headband. And then the next strip, so this part is for our headband, the 3-inch by 16-inch, and then the 16-inch by 2-inch. Let me see, get 2 inches here. Same thing. So now you have 2 different strips, and we're gonna go ahead and sew these. We're just gonna fold them inward. So the front is facing, both sides are facing towards each other, just like that, and I'm gonna pin these. So I actually got these little plastic clamps from Amazon. Someone recommended them to me, and they work so great. So instead of pinning, I'm actually gonna do these. And they're just super easy. They're really, someone recommended them for my daughter because I had shared a story of her sewing, and they're like, oh, you should get those clamps, that way she doesn't poke herself, and I actually like using them just as much, so these are great. So I have both of my strips clamped together, they're ready to be sewn. This, like I said, this is gonna be for our top part of our headband, and we're just gonna wrap it around and tie it once it's sewn. So let's go ahead and sew this one first. Okay, to start, you're gonna wanna leave at least 1/4 of an inch left on the sides as you sew. Just remember to always backstitch when you start. But look how easy these come out. Okay, so when you get towards the end, about, I would say, okay, so here's where my needle is gonna go. You're gonna wanna be about 1 inch from the end, and you're just gonna go at an angle, okay? So I'm gonna sew in just a little bit more, and then right now I'm at about 1 inch, and I'm gonna twist it slightly, and I'm just gonna come in at an angle to this point right here. So that way, that's the tip of my headband, okay? That's where it's gonna sit. We're gonna backstitch that. Make sure it's nice and close. And let me grab some scissors. And so see how it's kind of at like a curve. So before I flip this inside out, I'm just gonna trim off this excess fabric right here. That way my end of where my headband's gonna sit in is not bulky. Okay, so this strip is going to be our little knotted top of our headband. So to start, you're gonna do this a little bit different. You're gonna start it at the point of your fold, and we are just going to want to go at an angle to about 1/8 of an inch to your edge. So let me make sure that's centered. Remember to backstitch. You want these kind of like pointed, if that makes sense. All right. So I'm about right there. I'm just gonna twist it. All right. And then we're just gonna sew straight down until about halfway down our fabric. Let me move this back a little bit so you guys can see a little better. All right. So about right here is where my halfway point is. And before you start, you could even fold it in half and maybe mark it there so you know where to stop. You want to stop about 1 inch away from your halfway mark, okay? So this is my halfway. I'm going to backstitch because we're going to want to close that end up. And then we're going to just open this and we're going to scoot it down about 1 inch so we have a hole to flip everything right side out. And then same thing, we're going to stitch again and back stitch. almost at an inch away, and I'm just gonna start going at an angle right to that tip. And back stitch, and we should be good. And same thing, you're just gonna wanna cut off this excess fabric on both ends this time, because both of your ends are already stitched. Okay, I'm gonna be using these large fabric tubes. They just help you to flip your fabric right side out, okay? So they're super easy to use. I found these on Amazon. And you just scrunch it up like that, and then it's good to go. So this is our headband one. You just kind of want to make sure the points are out. So this is for our headband, and then this one's, you're going to do it a little bit different, and because it's a little bit smaller, I'm going to use this smaller tube. I think this is the 3/8 of an inch, and you're going to do half of one side first. So you're going to do this side first. Actually, we need the stick. You just pull it all through, make sure your points are good. They're kind of all out the right way. And then same thing on this side. Look how easy that is. That like is the most annoying part when you're flipping things the right way, is just getting them flipped. So this makes it so much easier. Alrighty, so all our points are good to go, and this is for our knotted little flaps on the top. Okay, next we're just gonna iron down our flap and then our headband cover. So for this part, you want the seam of where it's stitched to be down the center, so that way you have nice even, like a nice crisp edge. Because this is all gonna get folded in once it's on the headband, and then it's gonna get glued together. For this one, you want it the seam to be on the end instead of down the center. And if you wanted to have like a larger flap, let me show you this. If you wanted to have a larger flap than this, you would just do a wider strip of fabric. So instead of doing would we do a 2-inch? Instead of doing a 2-inch, you're gonna wanna do maybe a 3 or a 4-inch. It'll just make this wider. So, but it's all preference. So next you wanna take your headband, and you're just going to make sure that this part is facing in, and you're going to slide the fabric onto your headband, and just like that. So you're gonna notice that one side is longer. That's okay. We wanna kind of even this out so that they're both ends are a little bit hanging off the edge, if that makes sense. So that way we have a little bit where we can fold it in and then fold it over. That way you have nice clean edges, okay? Okay, so for this side, you're just gonna wanna put a little bit of glue on the plastic part and then slide your fabric upward just so it kind of stays in place. Then you have your open end, okay? With your open end, you wanna fold it at an angle, just like that. And we're gonna fold it in and glue it just like this, okay? So angle, without like folding this part over. Just gonna put a little dab of glue in here, get it folded. You don't want to put too much glue and make it too bulky. So I got a little bit of an angle. With your scissors, you can kind of just trim so it's not too bulky when you glue. And then you're gonna put a little bit of glue right here, and you're going to fold this in, okay? And you want more like fabric hanging off on this end, because this is gonna get folded over and glued down. So hold that. If anything is like not glued down, just put in a little bit of glue to make sure everything's laying nice and flat. Try and keep it like as flat as you can. You don't want a lot of bulk, okay? That's like our biggest thing. All right, so now I have my fabric more moved to this end. So this is where like the excess fabric is going. And what I'm gonna do is right where this point ends, I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue right here. And we're going to fold this part over. Hopefully you guys can see this. Fold it over so it kind of covers. You guys see that? It covers where I had folded my tip in. Okay, and then same thing, you're gonna go along here and just put a little bit more glue, and you're gonna wanna fold that in as well. And it gives you a nice clean end of your headband on both sides. On this side, you're gonna just repeat the same thing. I already put a little bit of glue. Let me open it so you can see it. So it's at a point, you're just gonna fold it in just like that. And then we're gonna put some glue right along the seam of where we had sewn. And we're just going to fold over. And it helps if you like have something to lean it on and kind of pull it. And then you just wanna push that down. And let me grab, I didn't get any glue up here. All right. And just fold over and make sure that where you had put that little point down is tucked under your fold. Okay. All right, next we're gonna take our last strip of fabric and we are going to center it right in the middle. Just like that, and we're going to tie it in a loop. So I want to make sure it's centered, and then these two are going to flip around. So this one's going to go this way and this one's going to go this way, and then we're just going to tie them at the top and we're going to glue them down. Okay, so that way our flaps are not moving anywhere. Okay, so once these are tied, we're just gonna get a little bit of glue, and we're just gonna get under where we tied. Just put a little glue there, kind of press it down. We're gonna put a little bit of glue on our flap. That way nothing is moving around, but it still looks like a cute little flap, just like that. Same thing with this end. And like I said, if you wanted to have bigger flaps, you just make your strip wider. So it would still be the 16 inch length, but just a wider, thicker flap. And there we go. All right, thanks so much for watching today. And if you guys are looking for any of the products, they will all be linked below in our description. And if you guys do not already follow us on social media, we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all over the place. Also, if you have not subscribed already, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.